Hello there, friends of the program. It's Tate Frazier, and it's officially that special time of the year where we go on a march through madness together for the 85th edition of the NCAA tournament. What makes March so special, you ask? Well, it's the unknown. It's the fact that this is basically Survivor on a basketball court on CBS without Jeff Probst. And no matter how much you prepare, you cannot predict this kind of chaos. And that is what we will be covering on this podcast, One Shining Podcast. All the madness, all the David versus Goliath personified. It's the best show in town. The ball is tipped, and here you are with us. Come listen and join us wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to the Ringer NFL Draft Show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I'm joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck. And today we are going over who is winning the offseason. We're going to go over all 32 teams and the offseason vibes because you can win the Super Bowl. But honestly, I feel like, DK, the more important thing in life is whether you're winning the offseason. The offseason is longer than the regular season anyway.
I think winning the Super Bowl is better. But for all the other teams, winning the offseason fucking rules. You know
when
what
you
I mean?
have no shot to win the Super Bowl, the offseason becomes your Super Bowl, and it's really fun. So I get it's like me with San Diego State right now. I'm like, offseason is, I'm actually looking forward to the offseason.
You're actually glad they lost.
Yeah.
You're actually glad they lost by a lot.
Now I can focus on recruiting. I can get out on the road. I can start scouting. I can donate to the NIL. So yeah.
UNC winning by 30 or 40 points is bad.
27, but yeah.
27, yeah. Because now they're going to keep.
Felt like 67.
It felt like 67. They're going to keep the Tar Heels coach, which is bad. So winning games is bad.
That's right.
So, okay. So speaking of which, we have our March Madness bracket pool on ESPN. So if you want, in the episode description, we have a link to our March Madness bracket. We have a lot of entries already. So thank you, everyone who joined.
Keep it coming.
Keep it coming. Keep coming.
The winner gets a Gentleman's Piss Club t-shirt. So go be excited for that. And again, the link to that
only
in the
one
episode
of like
description.
4 in existence.
Exactly.
So, pretty impressive.
The other thing in the episode description is we are having a live show in Chicago. Tickets are live currently. Go get them before they sell out. And so it is Tuesday, April 22nd. It is the week before the draft. No offense to Green Bay, but we felt Green Bay. Some Packers fans got really mad that we were doing it in Chicago, even though Green Bay's having the draft. And you know what? Love Green Bay, love Lambeau. I literally own a share of the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay, a little unprepared for 300,000 people. And so you know what? We're just going to do Chicago. So theringer.com/events. Oh, Craig's laughing at me like I shouldn't have said
I don't
that.
think we're doing it because Green Bay is unprepared as a city for the draft.
I was going to say, he's making up weird excuses for this.
It's a little unprepared.
Chicago's a major city. We have a lot of listeners there, and it was hard to get to Green Bay. That's why we're doing it.
Well, yeah, hence the whatever. Same thing.
There was never like, let's not go to Green Bay.
We weren't
there
like,
was
we
never
were
that
going to do
discussion.
Green Bay, and then we called Green Bay, and they were like, I don't think we can't take you.
Couldn't handle us.
Couldn't handle us.
Tuesday, April 22nd at Lincoln Hall. Tickets are live. They're in the episode description. Chicago, please, anyone Central Time. And then they can make me pronounce, anyone people want to email in, I'll pronounce some Illinois towns live and we'll see what I can get. We did that in Detroit last year and I did really poorly. So, okay. So tickets are there. We're going to go through winning the offseason and we're going to go through the vibes. We're going to rank all 32 teams here. I did the tiers and within the tiers, I don't know if the rankings are going to be perfect, but I tiered them. But I had a theory I wanted to run you guys about the offseason because I've been thinking about the offseason a lot over the last 10 years because I'm a Giants fan.
Right.
And I want to run by something that if it's too weird, I want to cut it from the show. And if you're with children, I would refrain from letting them hear this. But I kind of think at the end of the day, winning the Super Bowl is like having the best sex of your entire life. But I think the offseason is for masturbation. Like, I think that's ultimately what it is because it's like, nothing's actually happening, but there's a lot going on in your head and your imagination's running wild. And like, that's like your time, that's your time just for you.
They don't call it rosterbation for nothing.
That's right. So like bringing in attractive free agents is like being on the internet searching your,
exactly.
It's like Pornhub.
Whoever you're the most
scrolling
interested
all these lists.
Our lads is the football Pornhub.
Think about
our lads already sounds dirty.
Our lads, dude.
It really does.
Our lads is really OnlyFans before NFL fans.
It is only
our
lads.
Yeah. Only
our
fans.
Only lads.
And look, Heifetz, you're right. So, and then sometimes you need to switch hands just so it feels different, even though it's pretty much the same thing. And that's kind of what the Steelers are going to do this season. They're going to basically have the exact same kind of quarterback and offense, but they're switching hands.
But they're going with the stranger.
Feel better. Yeah.
It's kind of why I wanted Cam Ward instead of Daniel Jones. I'm like, sometimes you don't even need better. You just need different. And so it's funny though. You scroll through. I remember all these fans were coming up to me and like talking. All these people, like people we know, people who listen to the show, like Pats fans, like, where you at T Higgins? And you're scrolling through T Higgins, and I'm like, you're not ever gonna be with T
Is that
Higgins.
like when you like a photo of Margot Robbie on Instagram, and it's like, hey man, you're not gonna meet her. She's not gonna see that. You know what I mean?
I am interacting with Margot Robbie right now.
You're liking T Higgins photos. It doesn't mean he's joining your team.
Single friends who was the person last year that posted that thirst trap? That like was it Sydney Sweeney? Yeah, she posted the butt pic, and then my friend Ro liked it, and I was like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you liking that?
I actually saw one of my friends liked it too. I'm not going to name it.
You can see the photo still if you don't like it. You know?
Why would you tell the world? I really appreciated this, Sydney. Thanks, Sid.
There's like 2.8 million people liked it. You think she's going to see yours? Check out your profile.
It's all about the algorithm, Craig. You're curating your algorithm for things that you want.
Oh my god. Yeah. So where do jersey swaps come into this? I don't even want to know.
I don't want to know.
Anyway, I know it's a little crass,
like
crude,
a key
but
party?
honestly. Yeah. I know it's a little ridiculous, but there's something to it just because we're going to go through the vibes of the offseason, who's winning the offseason. And my metric's very simple. Whose vibes are just better than they were like a couple months ago? Like the January 10th vibes to now, who's up, who's down? And so it's a mix of like where you are overall with whether you're trending up or down. Does that sound about right?
And to be clear, the sex metaphor stops here. It's not going to continue.
For the most part.
We're not going to torture this metaphor anymore.
So should we cut that or keep it?
I like
it.
We'll keep it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our lads and OnlyFans is good.
Our lads is OnlyFans.
I'm putting together and
that's so funny. Oh my god.
For my team.
So I want to start with tier 1.
Honey, why is our credit card getting charged for something called Our Lads every month?
Dude, I just
caught up on
some
White
conversations.
Whew.
Oh boy.
Okay, so I want to start with tier 1, fully winning in the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And I called this category fully torqued. So it's not quite over yet.
Okay.
Wait, what's the fully torqued from?
Don't worry about it.
I don't know if it's from anything. It's just a phrase.
It's probably from the league. I don't know. But these are the teams that maybe are winning the offseason, or just the vibes are the highest right now. Number 1, I have the Eagles, which is cheating because they won the Super Bowl, but I think that's kind of the point, is like the Philly fans are at like an all-time high right now. And they haven't done anything crazy, but like at the end of the day, they re-signed Saquon and like, they're making small moves in the offensive line. But I still do think they actually do have the right to win the offseason. If
they get a
cheating.
several month afterglow. This is where they're smoking the cigarette.
Exactly.
Sorry, we're not doing the metaphor anymore.
Yeah,
it's post-nut bliss right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Having a cigarette like James Bond with his jeans on in bed, no shirt.
Yeah. Slacks.
What did it say? Like
with his
wearing khakis.
That's the Eagles right now. No shirt, khakis, cigarette.
But number 2, though, and we talked about this on the previous show, and this is kind of the impetus of this, but I think the Raiders are number 2. The whole tier is Raiders, Washington, Denver, and then maybe the Rams. But I think the Raiders are truly the winners of the offseason so far, just because where they were a couple months ago, I kind of thought the Raiders were like the worst job in the NFL. I'm like, you got to compete with the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Broncos. I know you keep saying this, but then you have Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly, and then you have Geno Smith, best quarterback they've had in 15 years. I really think that they have a chance to crush the draft because I can't overstate the importance of having Jim Harbaugh, and the Chargers had an amazing draft last year. Large part because Harbaugh was in the college world. Chip Kelly's been in the college world. He was just at Ohio State. I think they're going to have a really good draft. They just have adults in the room in Vegas. And I just think Raiders are going to be competitive on a week-to-week basis in a way that I don't know if Raiders fans have felt in almost a decade. So I think the Raiders are the winners, and it's not even close.
I was thinking about this morning. I still can't believe that Tom Brady hired a guy named Spytech. It's so
the GM of the Raiders,
like
Spytech.
Chew on the nose, honestly.
It is, and the other thing is that it's actually insane. But the Brady thing, I actually underrated his involvement. Do you guys think I was dumb for that? When I saw Brady's going to buy part of the team, I thought it was going to be closer to Jay-Z owning 1% of the Nets and he'd be there.
No, I totally agree. I
feel like there's not a huge precedent of it. I mean, most of the time when these rich athletes get involved in ownership deals, it's usually nominally. It's like people are part owners of the Red Sox. They're not actually making decisions. So I thought it was the exact same thing.
Yeah. And honestly, I guess it's similar to John Elway running the Broncos, where he was, obviously a legendary quarterback. And his main thing was he recruited Peyton Manning, and that worked out, and they did build a great team, and then they went off the rails. But that was one of my bigger mistakes of the offseason, was I really underrated that the Brady phone call thing cannot be overstated. The amount of juice Brady has of when he gets on the phone with people and he's like, you forget all the stuff. You forget you're competing with the Chiefs. She's like, I'm here to win. And the amount of people that have already said that it's unbelievable to talk to him is, I don't know. I am not going to count them out of anything going forward because
that's the thing that I think is interesting about this Brady thing. And like, look, we make fun of Brady a lot for his announcing and he deserves it, but he is insane competitive. He is insanely competitive. And that's what made him great as a quarterback. That's what made him, great throughout his whole career. And I do think he will be a good, he will be a positive influence on the Raiders because of his competitiveness, because he knows ball, all that stuff. I do think this is a very big net positive for them.
Also, Brady can't be a shitty announcer and have a shitty team. He needs to win in one spot of his career right now. And if everyone's going to make fun of him and kind of dispute this weird situation where he's an owner, but he's also an announcer and he can't say certain things, he at least has to have a good team. He can't fail at both parts of his, post playing career.
My take is I think he's going to be a really good announcer next year.
I think he's going to grind
the announcer tape all off season and he's going to get better.
I think we take credit if he's good.
Yeah.
That's my take. The other thing,
Craig specifically.
Craig gets credit. They kept Max Crosby too, who's to me a top 3 defensive end in the entire NFL, and they gave him $32 million a year. But he wanted out.
This is bold. I agree with you that Vegas should be in this top 5, but I think some people are going to be upset that a team I don't know, Buffalo or maybe Baltimore's not there, because it's if we're factoring in the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and that's why they're number 1, that's kind of this.
Well, winning the Super Bowl, and I'm open to that, but here's basically Philly, Vegas, Washington, Denver are just, to me, from where they were, are over the moon. And then I have the next tier. I have the next tier as good vibes with Ravens, Buffalo, Lions. And the reason I have the Raiders, and again, this is winning the offseason. It's not winning the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Bills are close to winning the Super Bowl.
This has nothing to do with being on the field.
Then the Raiders. My point is, 3 months ago, in early January, Bills fans thought they were going to win the Super Bowl, as did Lions fans, as did Ravens fans. And I think that 2 months later, they're more kind of upset that they lost. Ravens fans didn't even make the championship game. And now they're still bringing back Ronnie Stanley, worried that they're paying him after the most healthy season of his career. I think Ravens fans are plateauing, if not a little still licking their wounds from the loss. Raiders fans are more excited for the season than ever. And so I'm looking at that trend line of that's winning the offseason. There's more hope than ever. And so I look at that same thing for Washington, of just the afterglow of that season combined with just the being around the city, the hope around Jaden Daniels is insane.
We got Jaden Daniels is enough to put them at number 1 on this list.
I know Washington could actually probably be number 2. I think Vegas at 2. I don't know. It's tough. They're probably right to be in that category just because the sheer reversal of vibes in Vegas is so
Antonio
massive.
Pierce was the head coach of the Raiders, was having his wages garnished.
Yeah.
Because
there was a report that was happening. Yeah.
We don't know if that's happening, but it was literally they were it was the worst situation in the NFL, maybe outside with the Saints.
It felt not to pile on, but it did feel like the Raiders were almost a minor league team. It was just they have no shot. Essentially, they're there to develop players that will eventually sign with other teams. But no, they signed their big time superstar. They got Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly.
They
Tom
have
Brady.
actually had the best offseason.
They went from Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell to Geno Smith. They went from Antonio Pierce to Pete Carroll. You could argue.
Kelly. Yeah.
And Chip Kelly, you could argue this is the biggest coaching upgrade and the biggest quarterback upgrade anyone made all season.
Yeah, because the rest of these teams were basically either they won the Super Bowl by 30, or in Washington, Denver, and the Rams, they basically massively exceeded expectations and had fantastic runs that were pretty unexpected. And then you add that in with the Raiders, who haven't done anything, but the offseason has been so strong. And these other 3 teams are just perennial playoff teams: Baltimore, Buffalo, Detroit.
Exactly.
That fell short once again. Not crazy off seasons, but probably high expectations again heading into next year.
I think if you look at Baltimore, Buffalo, and Detroit, their off seasons in a vacuum, it's that was fine. I mean, I can understand the moves that they made, and ultimately I'm still excited about where they're going, all as franchise. But I think with those 3 in particular, Baltimore and Buffalo more, there's still that really strong seed of doubt. I don't know if we can get over the hump. We're good regular season teams. We're incredible in the regular season, and we always fuck it up in the playoffs.
I don't know. I think you could add Detroit to that. They just lost Ben Johnson.
But I was going to say, I'm
they're
factoring
a little
coaching
different,
too.
But yeah.
I'm factoring coaching too. Detroit didn't just lose Ben Johnson. They lost
Aaron Glenn.
8 coaches. They lost
I think
Ben
the Detroit
Johnson,
thing
Aaron
is
Glenn.
did we miss our window?
Yeah, they lost a third of their staff. And I think that the way I look at Detroit, I am still high in Detroit. I am curious to see how they replace everything. But at the end of the day, they lost a third of their coaching staff. And that was one of their biggest advantages, was that they were coaching guys up. They had all these picks that hit. Again, draft picks hitting. And we'll talk about this with the draft show. Draft picks hitting isn't just magically picking players. You're picking good players. You also got to coach them. And it's hard. Like, it's hard to explain to anyone in any industry what development mentorship looks like. But like, when you see a team like the Lions, where every pick they had more or less improved over a 3-year window, that's coaching. And when you remove a third of those coaches, you're like, all right, are we going to be able to do that again? So I think that's why I'm like, the Lions are not in better vibes than they were 2 months ago. That's why I have them as tier 2. The Rams, maybe I'm cheating. Maybe I should move the Rams down, but I just figured the way that defense was so dominant.
The Rams just keep exceeding expectations every year in such a ridiculous way that these fans now, the bar is quite high, because it's like what you just said with Detroit, Heifetz, where half this coaching staff has gone to Detroit. The Rams go through that every year or two. McVay is losing coordinators left and right, and yet every year he still manages to duct tape the team together and win a game in the playoffs.
And again, I know I'm being ridiculous, but part of me did do these rankings on how do you win the offseason with the fans. At the end of the day, it is kind of like, what's going on upstairs? What's the mental imagery? And with the Ravens and the Bills and the Lions, when they start getting excited about next season, boom, true shooting pain, intrusive thought shooting across. Oh my God. Remember how last season ended? The Rams. You start thinking about the Rams next season. Rams fans are thinking they're the only team that came close to beating the Eagles with Jalen Hurts in the last 2 months of the season outside of, the Panthers game, I kind of don't even count it because that was, I believe, one of the first 2 games Jalen Hurts came back from the concussion, and he came back too early and he sucked. And I'm like, we got to learn to throw those games out. When a quarterback is first game back from a concussion, we got to not count those anymore. And like the Eagles almost, well, no, I'm just saying, why? You think that's crazy?
We got to not count those anymore.
What if they win? What if they win?
Not count to the standings.
What if he was awesome in that game?
I mean, I think there's a gray area, sure, but also not counting them anymore just seems a bit extreme.
Sorry, I'm being an idiot. I don't mean literally don't count them.
I know.
I'm saying that like I over-indexed during the season. I'm like, why did Jalen Hurts play so poorly in that game? I'm like, well, he rushed back from the concussion. And like in a sport where getting the ball out fast is 2.0 seconds. And getting the ball out slowly is like 2.3 seconds.
Right.
Like the entire spectrum is between 2 and 2. Half a second is the spectrum of getting the football out in the NFL. And so you have to be making decisions in 0.1 or 0.2 seconds, executing the decision in 0.2 seconds. And you have a concussion. If the concussion literally slows your processing down by 5%, you're late on the throw. And so, like, I just think that, like, I don't know, this happened with Tua when Tua came back from the concussion a couple years ago, and then we underrated the 2023 season because we were like, oh, he didn't play back. All right, I don't know. That's all. All that's to say, the only team that really gave the Eagles a run was the Rams. And they have the youngest defense in the NFL, basically. They have Jared Verse. All these guys are going to get better. I know we always say that, but, like, holy cow, the Rams defense is incredible. And they kept Stafford, and they Devontae for Cooper Kupp is a huge upgrade.
The Rams fans should almost be like immune to the offseason, where it doesn't even matter. They can almost not pay attention because they know, oh yeah, I don't even know who half these guys are. We're just all these young guys are on the offensive defensive line. It's going to work out. It works out every year.
The Rams have become, for me, and I'm guessing this is pretty common now, that they feel like the team where you just give them the benefit of the doubt on everything. It's essentially what you just said, Craig. It's like they'll figure it out. Yeah. I mean, they're the team that I trust to figure it out, and they'll be competitive every year.
It's like your friend who just doesn't care about it. And he's like, oh, it'll work out. We're like, well, dude, I don't know. How are we going to get there? The flight's not going to get in time. It's like, it'll work out. That's the Rams.
Yeah.
Sean McVay was a prodigy, and his only weaknesses, it was like Happy learned to putt. His only weaknesses were like clock management and in-game management, and kind of him. And now he's actually like better fourth down decision making. He's way more aggressive, way better with clock management. Like it is insane. So, okay. Any other quibbles there? And sorry if people are mad at me, but I'm like, I think it's pretty fair to say that Ravens, Lions, Bills are not as net excited over, like they're not winning the offseason.
They're more plateaued.
Yeah, they're plateaued.
I think that Denver being in the top, I might quibble with that. I think they're like solid, but
I agree with Heifetz on this one. I think Denver should be there. I think Bo Nix working and them making the playoffs and them having a solid offseason, bringing in like real contributors and Sean Payton's like vision kind of starting to come together.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think considering where Denver was 2 years ago compared to now, I think fans are sky
like
high.
In the depths of the Russell Wilson doldrums. I just look at this Denver team and I'm just like, my initial reaction is just Sean Payton. He can't keep getting away with this. Like, because I hated Sean Payton from a fantasy point of view.
I mean, 1 year ago today, it was like the Russell Wilson debacle. They're going to draft Bo Nix, who Sean Payton compared to Patrick Mahomes. We all made fun of him. They had Cortland Sutton coming off an injury. They have no other receivers. They have no running back. There was nothing positive about this team except a good defense going in. And they made the playoffs. This team was good. Bo Nix was good.
who made more fun of Bo Nix than I did pre-draft. I called him Boomer Bo. And in my defense, I did say there's 3 teams he would go to, and he needed a Sean Payton, he needed Andy Reid, he needed Kyle Shanahan, and my point was Shanahan and Reid are taken. It's just Sean Payton that could save him. And he did, having said that, I did not believe Bo Nix could do what he did necessarily. I do think he'd have a long NFL career. Frankly, I didn't think he had 29 touchdown passes in him as a rookie. And here's the thing. If I told Bo Nix's season last year, wins rookie of the year almost any other season. Jaden Daniels deserved it last year. And CJ Stroud probably still wins last year. But the Garrett Wilson rookie of the year, that goes to Bo Nix. Jamar Chase probably goes to Bo Nix. Kyler, he was pretty good 2019. The Saquon rookie year goes to Bo Nix. Kamara's rookie year goes to Bo Nix. Every non-quarterback of the last 10, 15 years who won, Eddie Lacy, all these other years, Bo Nix won the rookie of the year. I know. And so the Broncos fans are kind of pissed at, frankly, people like me who discounted him. And even then, I'm starting to wonder, I think I underrated the arm strength,
Everybody discounted him. Oregon fans discounted him.
So I think Denver deserves to be top tier because I think Broncos fans are over the moon.
Well defended. I rescind my quibble.
So the top tier is fully torqued, and then the good vibes tier is just Baltimore, Buffalo Lions. And again, that's good vibes, but trending down. Because they used to be fully torqued. Lions, Ravens.
Everyone knows these teams are great, but
they went from midnight to 10 p.m.
Yeah, they're midnight to 10 p.m. Yeah, exactly. They were fully torqued, and now they're a little less torqued. Now these teams are good vibes, getting torqued, but they're trending up. Got the blood flowing. And I'm going to read all the teams, and we can just...
Lots of sexual innuendo happening.
The metaphor has persisted.
All right. Well, maybe, yeah. Watch us scrap this whole episode.
Just hard as a diamond in an ice storm right now.
I'm not going to ask. Good vibes. Teams that are better off than they were a couple months ago. Chicago.
Definitely. Mostly
because of hiring Ben Johnson as head coach. New England.
Yep.
Mostly because of, to me, hiring Mike Vrabel as head coach. Cincinnati, we talked about him at length earlier this week, but that you got Jamar Chase signed, you got T. Higgins signed, Joe Burrow's happy. That's great. Minnesota, going with JJ McCarthy, Vikings fans, got to be weird season, but got to be happy.
I don't know. There's still a lot of weird flirtation with Aaron Rodgers happening right now.
I
know that there's conflicting reports, so who knows? It probably won't happen.
It's almost nobody wants to be the one to say that they're in need of something. Everyone's waiting for the other person to make the call. It's the Vikings are we're good. Aaron Rodgers is we're good. The Steelers are we're good. You make the first call, and nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants
standoff from The Office.
Yeah, all the finger guns. Nobody wants to be the one to admit that they're desperate.
Right.
The Vikings don't want to admit they're nervous about JJ McCarthy. The Steelers don't want to admit they need Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to admit that he needs a fucking team and that nobody wants him.
100%.
That being said, I like the Vikings offseason a lot. But I will say the lingering Aaron Rodgers-ness of this makes me quibble with this just a bit.
The only reason why they're not in good vibes, in my opinion, is it's the quarterback stuff. It's just the uncertainty with the JJ Rodgers.
Because of McCarthy?
All that is a little bit too murky. Yeah, the JJ McCarthy stuff.
I guess to me, nothing's changed. If you look at the Darnold thing, the Vikings probably would have had to pay Darnold more money. I mean, they definitely would have had to pay Darnold more money to come back to a situation where he's not really the starter. And so at that point, why are you doing that? I think that you drafted JJ McCarthy where you drafted him. You have to bank that he can play. And if they're that worried about him, honestly, I think they would have signed Daniel Jones. And that to me, that's the thing is you have the Vikings are the ones who know what's going on with McCarthy. He had his second surgery on the knee, that's the concerning part. He lost a bunch of weight, but you know what? That happens sometimes. At some point, he has to play. He has to get reps. He has to at least practice. And so I think you have to bank on him. And so I like what the Vikings did in free agency, though. I am irrationally a Jonathan Allen fan, defensive tackle. They have a bunch of defensive tackles that are all 30 years old. They have Andrew Van Ginkel and Jonathan Grenard on the edge rushers from last year who were phenomenal for Brian Flores in defense. But now they have Javon Hargrave, who was cut by the Niners because he was overpaid. But he's when former earlier in his career, huge difference maker. He was part of that other Eagles team that made the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Jonathan Allen, who was a very high first round pick for Washington, still kind of pigeonholed as a pass rushing defensive tackle. But I look at Jonathan Allen as I don't know, you were on this awful Washington team that had no motivation and being investigated by 5 government agencies. And I'm kind of maybe half of run defense is effort. Kind of I don't know, if you can get more effort from Jonathan Allen, I wouldn't be shocked if this is an incredible defensive line. So, and then they also signed Willie Fries for the offensive line. But I just like what the Vikings are doing. And we'll see about
re-signed Byron Murphy, who was one of the top cornerbacks on the market. They traded for Jordan Mason, which is kind of interesting. I don't think we talked about that.
The running back, the Niners running back.
The Vikings trade for more running backs than anybody. Didn't they trade for
Cam Akers twice.
Yeah,
Cam
they're
Akers
the guy who doesn't own any power tools.
Times. Yeah.
He doesn't own any power tools, Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings coach. He just borrows it from his neighbors, and he's like, oh, Cam Akers from the Rams again. Aaron Jones from the Packers and Matt LaFleur again. Jordan Mason from the Niners. His friends who run the same offensive scheme, he just lets them train the running backs, and then when they're tired of them, he goes and get them.
Yeah. Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, the center from the Colts, they signed him, and then they, like I said, they re-signed Aaron Jones and traded for Jordan Mason, obviously trying to bulk up their run game. I like a lot of the stuff that they did in the offseason for sure.
Other ones that I think are good vibes. The Buccaneers for retaining a lot of their, I'm just going to read the list, but Buccaneers for retaining their players.
Just keep the good vibes going. Keep the, good times going.
Arizona, who, they went and got, they didn't have a huge offseason, but I think Arizona is an ascending team, and they went and got, the big one was Josh Sweat from the Eagles, the defensive end, who played for Jonathan Gannon as the Cardinals head coach. I think that's a big signing. It's not like life-changing, but I think overall the Cardinals vibes are good. Atlanta, that sounds a little nuts, but from 2 months ago with Kirk Cousins and everything, I think that I think Falcons fans have to be excited about Michael Penix and this team and what you saw. And overall, I don't think they're that upset about losing Jude Dalman. Yeah. Texans,
Heifetz just agreed with me.
No, I don't know what you said. That name is blocked out of my mind.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, that's just trauma repression. I don't know.
He has that word muted.
Yeah. I wish you could do that in real life. Mute words.
Yeah.
And then, I have Texans because they're just, they still have Stroud and they're blowing up. I think firing Bobby Slowick's good. And then the Chargers, just because, sure, Jim Harbaugh's going and getting old recruits like white whales, talk yourself into it.
I have a few quibbles.
Please.
Yeah, same.
I think Arizona and good vibes is probably one tier too high. The next category we have is no vibes. I kind of feel like that is more Arizona speed, because the way I look at this list that you have here is like, there's at least something you can hang your hat on here for every team. It's like Chicago, you have Ben Johnson and you have Caleb. You have Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. Yeah. Right? The future. New England, you have Mike Vrabel and Drake May, who's already had an awesome rookie season.
And together, the Patriots fixed it. They didn't just get coaches. The Patriots fixed, well, not fixed, I hate that word, but have defensive players where they didn't used to. And the Bears have an offensive line.
Yes.
Right.
In a way that they did not.
It feels like there's a plan for both teams.
And theoretically the best play caller in the league. Cincinnati, you have the best quarterback receiver duo in the league. Minnesota, you won 14 games last year. You pretty much brought everybody good back and did good in the offseason. Tampa is a team, like you said, brought everybody back. They make the playoffs every year. Baker's playing really well. Even Atlanta, I'm like, Michael Penix flashed. You have a really strong offense. There's a lot of positive vibes going in. Houston, Stroud is still an ascending guy, still made the playoffs, won a playoff game. And then the Chargers I also have a quibble with. But Arizona, I don't really know what you have to hang your hat on if you're Arizona. They won 8 games last year. Kyler Murray, I think everyone agrees, is probably not the franchise quarterback, the vibes king. Marvin Harrison didn't play that well.
Number 32 ranked franchise from the Players Association or whatever. Just terrible.
Yeah, that's a good call.
They're the only ones. Everything.
They're making you pay out of a vending machine for lunch and everything. I understand that maybe the division's going to be worse, so you can hang your hat on the fact that Seattle and San Francisco might not be great, but in general, I don't know if they're in the same category here as Cincinnati or Chicago.
They stood out to me as well, Craig.
Wait, I forgot. I'm pulling up the team report card right now. Are you saying that the Arizona Cardinals, who got an F for weight room, C+ for strength coach, which is horrific. That's someone you see every day. You give him a C+. And locker room is F-. You think the vibes are not good?
Yeah. Yeah. And I believe they were either last or close to last year too. So it's not, they haven't done anything to improve anything.
C+ for strength coach is sneakily as bad as an F, because they don't give a shit if they're talking about the food's bad. But the strength coach, to give your strength coach a C, every other strength coach gets a B or an A.
That's tough.
It's like grade inflation.
Is he bullying the players? What's the deal with this guy?
That's tough because it's one guy. So he's reading that grade. He's like, that's me.
I think you should leave me. I'm like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? That's really funny. Okay, so are the Cardinals no vibes or are they bad vibes?
If Green Bay is no vibes, Arizona
fine.
Deserves
okay,
to
Cardinals
be
are
with
no
Green Bay.
vibes.
Yeah.
So the other team, the other no vibes teams, I had the Cardinals, the Panthers, the Packers, and Dolphins. Dolphins I pre-approved with Carlos because I feel like I don't know. There's no vibes. The big move is Liam Eichenberg at guard, and I don't know. There's no Tyreek's probably not going to get traded. Green Bay, I don't know. They haven't done. They're not a free agency team. The Packers are not. They don't participate in this time of the offseason, which I think is probably smart. But they're
they did go for Aaron Banks, and that's I think a questionable move. But yeah, that's about it.
But I think isn't that kind of the exception that proves the rule? The Packers' big signing was signing a guard from San Francisco named Aaron Banks.
Totally.
I don't know if you're doing that.
The only other name in the good vibes trending up that I wanted to bring up is the Chargers where I think the Chargers are on hold. I think because I really need to see what they do in the draft, and I know it's March, so but it's like I don't love anything really that's happening with the Chargers offensively, other than their offensive line. Like them just only going and getting Mike Williams and then signing Najee Harris is like still not enough for me to get excited. Maybe they go trade up and draft Tet, or they get a receiver in the first round. They take the Michigan tight end to Colston Loveland to bring him back with Jim Harbaugh because they really need a tight end. But the defense, they made some good signings. I just don't know if like the vibes are really trending that up with the Chargers.
That's fair. They cut Joey Bosa and they brought back Khalil Mack. I think overall, the way I look at the Chargers, I think it's going to be a bunch of small moves. The Chargers to me are similar to Washington. I was talking about how Washington needs to get bigger because they were bullied by the Eagles. I think the most underrated part of NFL team building that we don't talk about, nobody talks about enough, is teams are obsessed with how they lost their division games and how they lost their season.
Yeah.
And I think the Chargers are going to be obsessed with that, the Texans game, but also I think Jim Harbaugh is going to spend his whole offseason thinking about how he lost to the Ravens and his brother. I know that sounds crazy, but the Ravens bullied him. The Ravens, like his older brother, gave him a noogie. And the Chargers roster, that was the Brandon Staley roster, which was lighter, smaller, more defensive backs. They didn't have the muscle, and they got moved, and they didn't have the spine. Like they didn't have they were playing all this. They were playing all these 5 defensive back personnel and 6 defensive backs on the field at the time, just because that's who the roster was. And so they're adding little guys in the Chargers. Like, you got, I don't know. I'm not saying these guys are going to be good, but look at Deshaun Hand and some of the lesser defensive tackles. They added Tier Tart. And I'm not saying this guy's going to be good, but
the Jalen Reagor re-signing didn't move you?
Oh, God. As I'm saying this, what the fuck am I talking about? Yeah, no vibes to the Chargers. Jesus.
I don't know. The offense is Mike Williams, Jalen Reagor, and Najee Harris.
That is
and then
crazy.
Mekhi Becton, which is I think also a question mark.
Becton, I'm curious to see what happens.
Exciting enough, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, Becton, we'll see. He's just a big guy. I think the Harbaugh just wants big guys. It's weird, the commitment to slow people. Najee's the slowest capable starting running back in the NFL. Mike Williams, post the injury, is certainly one of the slower, he's not a separation guy.
If they go draft Travion Henderson out of Ohio State to pair with Najee Harris, and then they go get Colston Loveland to be an offensive pass-catching tight end, the vibes will change immediately. But right now, I think it's worrisome, again, what this offense is going to look like.
Who's the funniest running back or receiver the Chargers could pair to just the slowest skill player the Chargers could add to this group?
Oh, that's a great question.
Scattaboo?
Yeah, 100%. Oh my God, that's a great answer.
Just Scattaboo and Najee just running.
Scattaboo's actually he's kind of like Najee in some ways, where I think he's actually a very skilled, good player. But the question is just speed.
Oh, yeah.
Is he fast enough?
That's actually a funny comp.
If the Chargers had gotten T. Higgins and then drafted Colston Loveland, the vibes would be astronomical.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? You know how at some point, I forget what age you're supposed to retake your driver's license test. Not soon enough. Probably 80. We should do that with NFL players, make them run the 40 again.
Yeah.
We should make Najee run the 40. Once you get to 28, 30, you got to do it again.
The 30-year-old combine would be really funny.
Oh my God. I think it would be a lot worse than we even think. Imagine these guys running the 40 now.
Well, maybe
4.9?
It's only 30.
4.10? That's not even a
30-yard dash now.
5 flat?
All these guys are getting in the track stance, and they're making a sound as they get down. Ugh.
That sounds like me now, getting up from a chair.
Yeah, that's
bending down to pick up your kids' toys.
Yeah. So I know I'm 30. Okay.
Oh, yeah, wait. Speaking of, it was Heifetz's birthday yesterday. You're 30 years old.
Yeah. How you feeling?
Older, hotter, wiser?
You can only have 2 of those 3, which?
Hotter and wiser, because everyone else now knows I'm older.
Yeah. You feel good, though? Do you care having the 3 in front of your age?
I think I successfully divested from my self-worth, my self-identity being in the 20s. I spent the last year and a half freaking out that I'd be 30, and then I realized, I've already been 30. I made a dinner reservation a couple months ago at 5:45 at night. Yep. We came back at 8. We're like, who are those kids going out? I make it sourdough now. I'm 30 years old already. I am 30. I've been 30.
You guys are chopping it up about bread. That's
I'm talking about crumb structure.
I'm old. I am old, and I'm okay. I'm happy with it.
Did our gift arrive for you yet, or no?
I actually think it might have come to the door. I didn't open it. Is it? Should I go get it?
Actually, at the end of the show. Yeah, go get it.
Okay. We can get it at the end of the show. Any other jump out to you? Tampa, Atlanta, Houston? Yeah, sure.
No, I think the rest are.
Houston's an interesting one, I would say, just because they're completely revamping their offensive line.
Is it good vibes to get rid of your offensive line if a team hates the offensive line? I know. Full transparency, Texans fans, I couldn't decide. I didn't know what your vibes were.
Honestly, I liked some of the other stuff they did, but redoing their offensive line makes a question mark for me. But like, I think Christian Kirk is a good fit for their offense. I think that's an interesting move that they made. They traded for him. They traded for CJ Gardner-Johnson, who's always like a fun player to watch, and he always gets into it with other players. I don't know. I guess you could quibble with it. It's not like a big deal, but I don't really know what the vibes are in Houston.
Maybe they're closer
put
to
them
no
as
vibes.
a neutral
Yeah,
vibes.
Houston's no vibes. I mean, the offensive line, you're just moving logs around. Who cares? All right, bad vibes. But this is different, and this is to me is bad vibes, but trending up. As in, you were bad vibes, but you were like kind of before like pretty atrocious vibes. I have the Titans and the Jaguars as the two teams here that were bad, but like were awful, but are now bad. So that's kind of good.
Titans is like you had Will Levis and now you have the number 1 overall pick.
Yes.
The vibes have to be better.
Yeah. Titans are probably going to take Cam Ward, the quarterback out of Miami. And like, I know people keep saying it's not a great quarterback class, but I'm like, dude, Cam Ward I think is good. I think Cam Ward could be pretty good. Yeah. Like they invested in the offensive line. I know I made fun of them for paying Dan Moore Jr. at left tackle, but you know what? You should overpay to give a rookie quarterback a good offensive line. That is what you should do. And between that, they have J.C. Latham, a first-round pick at right tackle. They have Peter Skronsky, a first-round pick at left guard. They have a center they're choosing. Brian Callahan, the head coach's dad, is just Nepo dad, just like the best offensive line coach in the NFL. Like, I don't know. I think
Nepo dad.
Not Will Levis is a great pitch.
I agree.
So,
you're the number 1 pick in the draft in the offseason. Like you will talk yourself into having
having the worst record, the only silver lining, the whole thing is you get to have the first pick for the next 6 months. It's fun. You're the most talked about team.
You've been rooting for your team to lose in the regular season so that you can feel good about right now.
The other team I have here is bad vibes, but better than it was very recently is the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I wouldn't say are doing great, but like literally 2 months ago, the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers declined to take your job, as did Ben Johnson, because you had a crazy Littlefinger character as your general manager.
Addition by subtraction.
And they fired him, and then they hired Liam Cohen. And so that alone literally is enough for you to not be atrocious vibes anymore, Jackson.
I agree.
Yes. I think Liam Cohen, apart from like the weirdness of his Duval thing, I think the vibes are good with him. I think people are optimistic about him.
I think that's correct. The 5th pick in the draft, Brian Thomas is a star. It's like, I think there are things that you can at least be optimistic about.
the GM they replaced Balky with, though, is
Trent
just
Baalke's
34.
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean, he looks like he's 22 years old. It's wild.
I know he really looks like Solek's older brother. Like this guy, James Google. And look, he might be really good at the job. I don't know. It's not like we always say, like, you don't have to give it to retreads. But I'm like, you look at James Gladstone and I'm like, he looks like a quality control coach.
He has to be the only GM in the modern internet era that does not have a Wikipedia page.
He also has to be the only one that's going to get carded at a bar. Like, and also we got an email from Connor. Jaguars general manager James Gladstone was the wide receiver coach on my high school team my senior year.
Wow.
I don't remember him being that impressive as a coach.
At high school level.
And the news that he was hired as the GM of an NFL team was surprising to me and everyone from my high school that I'm still in touch with. Which I actually think not being remembered is worse than bad memories.
Right.
He's not even the first Gladstone that comes up on Google. It's a Canadian politician born in 1887.
James Gladstone, Canadian politician.
Yep. Who?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's the first claim. I'm reading
the first treaty Indian to be appointed to the Senate of Canada.
Okay, cool. That's sick.
Yeah.
Shout out to James Gladstone. Oh my God, he became status at the age of 33. That's the James Gladstone age.
Are they related?
I highly doubt it. That would be incredible.
Great. By the way, I really like when people email us when they like knew someone from their former life and give us the little T on it. I love that.
Do you think
if you know anyone we've been talking about, let us know.
Do you think James Gladstone should go by Jim just to kind of age him up a little bit?
I think that's a really
Can't go
Jim
with
Gladstone.
Jimmy.
No,
James is the older version.
Oh, I like Jim.
Yeah,
Jim
maybe.
Gladstone. How the hell are you?
Jim? Yeah, I don't know
You have
Jims.
to stick out your hand aggressively.
I don't know anybody in their 20s named Jim.
Gladstone.
DK, when was the last person you met a person named Jim younger than you?
Great point.
If anyone who listening goes by Jim and you're under 35, please email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com and how that came to be and what your life is like.
We're going to have a competition for the youngest Jim. Email us.
Who's the youngest Jim we can find? Jim, not Jimmy. Jim.
And you can't know somebody. You need to be the Jim.
Yeah. You're
Email
Jim.
us and with your age, and
You're the
more
Jim.
that we say the name Jim, the more it sounds funny to me.
Dude, I saw this little dog at a dog park, and I was like,
Jim.
I saw this little tiny, like a French bulldog. I was like, what's his name? And they're like, Jim. And we're like, Jim.
I know. What other moves can Jim here make to kind of age himself up? Maybe some glasses, grow out the facial hair.
His photo on the Jaguars website is he's shaved like his cheeks really well, but he has the mustache shaved. But like I can see the aftergrowth, so it's like it kind of just highlights that he can't really grow a mustache to me.
What is the best? Actually, I'm curious now. What is the best way to age yourself up? Do you start wearing like Peaky Blinders outfits?
I think the haircut is a problem. It's kind of a little Macklemore. It's in certain photos. It's a real shaved
side. You can't just say that about a guy
with the long hair on top. Maybe
you're not allowed to say that anymore.
He's 34.
Maybe he goes with some touch of gray. You know?
Oh, like dye your hair gray.
Yeah, he goes a little touch of gray on the sides.
We can email.
I think do you think wearing a tie would age him up a little bit? He's wearing no tie in like all these
he's
pictures.
unbuttoned too.
Yeah, there's at the combine he was wearing like a hoodie and a jacket. That's a problem.
Right. We didn't have any clothes.
He was wearing like Viore stuff.
he's in athleisure.
Yeah, athleisure. It's exactly.
Maybe he needs like a beer gut. That would help.
That would help.
Yeah.
He's
more
definitely
stressed.
young enough that he played fantasy football, and I kind of want to go through his old fantasy football teams.
A beer gut and a touch of gray on the sideburns might help.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Jaguars fans, it's better vibes. I mean, look, he can't be worse than Trent Baalke. I hope. Okay, these teams are bad vibes, and I think you're trending down.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might feel worse. Like you used to be no vibes are good. I'm starting with the Steelers, where I
disagree with this, but okay.
So I thought at first the DK Metcalf trade was good vibes. Mm-hmm. Dude, I think Steelers fans are and Craig, I'm curious what you think. My read on Steelers fans is they're mostly kind of like, so we just don't have a quarterback and we have the 21st pick in the draft?
Yeah.
It's kind of incredible.
Maybe you're right. I don't know if they're trending down. They are bad vibes. I was going to say they're bad vibes trending up because, I don't know, last year we were coming out of Kenny Pickett and getting Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, which was weird. I will say this time around, it seems like a lot of players are more unhappy, at least publicly than last year. Cam Hayward on his podcast is like openly pissed about this situation and kind of doesn't want Aaron Rodgers.
The quote. You want to read it? Dude, Cam Hayward, who we played beer with pong with at Radio Row, and the defensive tackle for the Steelers.
Great guy, by the way.
He's like the NFL version of elderly. He's like, what is he, 35? Where he's starting to say whatever he thinks.
He's the largest man I've ever seen in real life.
Yeah, he's huge.
He has the biggest hands, the thickest fingers I've ever encountered.
Cam Hayward, because we've met him, we'll just call him 35 instead of going on 36.
Mm-hmm.
And Cam Hayward said,
35.
He said, I ain't doing that darkness retreat. He was asked about Aaron Rodgers. He's like, I'm not doing that darkness retreat. I don't need any of that crap. Either you want to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or you don't. It's that simple. That's the pitch. If you want me to recruit, that's the recruiting pitch. Pittsburgh Steelers. You want to be part of it, so be it. If you don't, no skin off my back. Can you tell they're tired?
This guy. I love this guy.
I really can't tell. It's tough because the DK Metcalf thing was so cool and exciting and fun. The Steelers never do anything like that. But then the Cam Hayward quotes, waiting for Aaron Rodgers to ask you to the dance is embarrassing. Also,
yes.
Have you guys been seeing any of the Najee Harris quotes with the Chargers talking about his time in Pittsburgh?
What did he say? No,
some
actually.
Weird quotes. Give me a second here to find them. He said, my time in Pittsburgh, it was a lot of learning things, a lot of learning experiences, playing for Mike Tomlin, playing in that division. There were a lot of ways I didn't even realize what the NFL was really about. And he goes, I feel like I didn't get it done. I feel like I was obviously missing something. It was just interesting years there. Yeah, I'll just say that. Interesting years. And then he was talking about showing up to LA and talking about the difference in facility quality. And he was like, I didn't know it could be like this. I didn't know other teams had stuff like this. It is very different in Pittsburgh. It is much more old school, like hard-nosed. LA, like just having all of these, people at your disposal and equipment at your disposal is very different than what we had in Pittsburgh, which
they've got Poppy in the vending machine, probably.
Yeah, those player grades we talked about at the combine, their grades were low across the board.
It was surprising,
I have the report card
for
up
such
right
a
now.
revered franchise to be so like middling in all the grades that they had for the way that they treat the players. Yeah, that was definitely weird.
The report card up right now. They got a D for locker room, and they got a C+ for training room, a C+ for weight room, a C- for strength coach, a C+ for nutrition, a C- for treatment of families.
Yeah, Najee said in his presser with the Charger, he goes, man, the facilities here, it's not like this everywhere else. And he's only been on one team, so he's talking about Pittsburgh. He doesn't know that anywhere else looks like.
Yeah. The one thing I will say that kind of, I'm reading between the lines a little bit on this, and maybe I'm making it up, but like, he wasn't really beloved by the fans, right? Like, the fans kind of complained about him a lot.
Najee? He was liked a lot the first year, right? And then it went downhill.
I think for a couple years, I mean, because he's such a gregarious, like cool guy.
Right, he's a great guy, but everyone was like, "This guy's slow as fuck. Can we get someone else?"
Yeah, I don't think anybody thought that he was the problem the whole time in the Matt Canada era and before it. But yeah, I think people were like, "Yeah, this guy kind of was a flop."
I think that there's probably that too, where it's like you don't really feel appreciated. You don't feel like you lived up to your billing or team people view that anyway.
It just feels like
probably a little of that going on too.
It feels like with the Steelers, like I don't know, the chickens are coming home to roost a little. Yeah. It feels like they're at the end of this 50-year run of kind of just penciling in being a good team. Even Art Rooney's now pissed and starting to talk about this is not the team. I didn't buy a team to suck every year and not have a quarterback. We're in a weird spot now. Like they need to invest a lot more money in this team and the infrastructure around it.
And so the Steelers,
the decline and fall of the Roman Empire.
Yeah, I still think this. I know I said this before, but the Steelers-Seahawks trade, I look at it as two teams in midlife crisis of being slightly better than average, and the Seahawks like shaved their head and like had a moment of who they really are, and the Steelers bought a sports car with DK Metcalf. And you look at the other moves they made, signing Kenny Gainwell to a 1-year deal as a running back. Like okay, like they got the DK Metcalf trade. Honestly, the biggest move they made was they re-signed Mason Rudolph at quarterback, which I think is depressing in that it's a good move because you're like, all right, you've got nothing else. Now it's been a week. Bringing a backup quarterback. At least you bring up a backup quarterback who's been there before, sure. But like, man, when Mason Rudolph, who couldn't even really successfully like put the lid on Will Levis era in Tennessee, like he was kind of really took him longer than you thought to get Mason Rudolph in.
I mean, he's a backup.
He's a backup. He's a backup, and like that's the second biggest move they made, other than I guess Darius Slay at cornerback. But I don't know. I'm curious what you think, Craig. But at the end of the day, the Steelers, like, I think that Tomlin has a lot in common with Belichick, where there's been so much success, it actually has led to some arrogance about how badly you need to address the quarterback when you lose that quarterback guy, whether it was Brady for Belichick or Roethlisberger for the Steelers.
Yeah, it's like resume paralysis, where you can look back at all of these things that Tomlin has done, and it kind of it hinders you from progressing or changing anything.
And frankly, like they need to evolve on defense. That's the other thing. I think it's easy. I know we're talking a lot about the Steelers, but my criticism of the Steelers in the past has been the whole Matt Canada's offensive coordinator thing bothered me because everyone just talked about it like Mike Tomlin wasn't Matt Canada's boss. You know what I mean? Like, if Mike Tomlin's not in charge of the offense, like he's the head coach. It's not like Matt Canada's his own fiefdom in offense. It's like that Mike Tomlin's job. And the other, that's easy though, is to say the harder, colder, worse truth is that Tomlin's fallen behind the curve on defense, like big time. The Ravens, I was in that Ravens locker room after they beat crap out of them in the playoffs. The Ravens offense, they were kind of laughing about what the Steelers were trying to do to disguise. They're so far behind the curve of what teams like the Ravens were doing. Like the Steelers are also kind of that Seahawks Pete Carroll style lineup play. We're better than you. That doesn't work anymore. It's like if every other defense is doing all this sleight of hand, disguising everything all the time.
Sleight of hand.
Fuck.
You always say that. It's fine.
That's the other one. That's the
other
one.
It does look like that. For the record, it does. With the words, the way it's written,
why would you call it slate?
Yeah.
Why would it be slight? There's a different word called slight.
Honestly,
like you have one of those.
Yeah. Anyway, sleight of hand.
Whatever.
Doesn't it feel like if Sean McVay had the Steelers roster, they'd win like 13 games?
You guys have gone soft. The old you two would have rocked me for that.
We would have
you two have gone so soft.
We've just heard it before. I've
There's
heard this
blood in the water.
Sleight of hand.
I want something new.
I remember back when I would mispronounce something, Dickie would literally lick his chops, be like, "What'd you, Maestro? Maestro?"
Also, anyway. I think Solak not being here, he likes to whip up a little bit of, you know, we missed Solak for that, among many reasons, but yeah.
I also had the Seahawks here for the other bad vibes teams. I also had the Seahawks here. Are the Seahawks vibes bad or good? I couldn't tell.
I honestly don't know. It depends on who you talk to, because I think there was a camp of Seahawk fans that didn't like Geno and didn't like DK. They were definitely the two like most polarizing Seahawk players. They're the two of the best players, but also I think a lot of people did kind of get sick of both of them. There was a huge camp of Seahawk fans that just did not think Geno Smith was the answer. So I think those fans are certainly very happy. And then I think there's also a camp of Seahawk fans that were just like, tired of DK's shit kind of deal. Like he just gets these weird penalties. He's kind of immature, whatever. Even though I think he's a really good player. I think there was certainly a contingent of fans that were just like, all right, well, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Yeah. So I think, some fans might be pretty stoked about what's going on. I think big picture though, vibes are down because you're replacing two of your best players with Sam Darnold. They signed DeMarcus Lawrence in free agency. He's, getting older. I think there's some uncertainty whether he's going to be great. Cooper Kupp, I mean, he's been hurt every year the last 3 years. He's basically hurt every season, it feels like. And he's washed potentially. Why did the Rams get rid of him? Like, honestly, like the Rams dropped this guy for nothing. That's a huge red flag. So I think that, there's
and they also were so public about like, no.
And they were trying to trade
chance
right.
They literally were like, could he come back to the Rams, Cooper Kupp? And Leslie, the GM, was like, that's the least likely option.
Yeah. So that's a red flag for sure. So I think that it just depends. There's probably a mixed bag here with the Seahawks. I think generally big picture though, vibes a little bit down. There is a mystery box element to this that I think some people are optimistic about. So I would say that.
So other teams that I had as bad vibes, but also you could totally convince me I'm wrong and are good vibes. One, the Indianapolis Colts, who I feel like I couldn't know how to categorize them because they're signing Daniel Jones. I'm pretty biased on that. At the end of the day, I don't know if Colts fans are talking themselves into that, excited for Richardson to get better, freaking out that Daniel Jones is your plan B to Richardson. I actually like all the other moves the Colts made. I mentioned Cam Bynum, the safety they signed, who he did all the cool rom-com celebrations and the funny touchdown turnover dances. But he's a good safety. The Colts have Lou Anarumo at defensive coordinator. I think that's a big one for them. And they also signed Charvarius Ward, the cornerback. I like the moves they've made in the secondary in Indianapolis. I just felt weird having the Colts above bad vibes when at the end of the day, like Daniel Jones scaring Anthony Richardson straight is literally like plan A, B, and C.
Right. Yeah, that's tough. I think that makes it tough. I would say this is right. It'd be interesting to get the opinion of some Colts fans right now, but I'd say there's definitely consternation of what the hell is going on in the quarterback position.
Dude, the quarterbacks are year 3, Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones.
And the Colts are picking 14th in a draft where it's widely believed like there's kind of not a huge difference between the 10th and like 38th pick, which is also kind of pretty frustrating if you're a Colts fan. You know what I mean? Like there's a chance that the Colts, any of these teams in this range can take someone, hopefully they get a defensive end to pair with Latu.
Are Steichen and Ballard coaching / GMing for their jobs this year?
I think Ballard, it's weird because Jim Irsay is like this mercurial guy, but I think Chris Ballard waited. So Andrew Luck retired and they never get over it. And they had, I think, 7 quarterbacks start, 7 different quarterbacks started each week 1 between Andrew Luck last year and Anthony Richardson was like the first guy to come in and actually start on week 1. I think multiple
Do you think we
years.
could name all 7?
Oh, we
Matt
could try,
Ryan, Phillip Rivers,
Wentz,
Jacoby
Brissett is 4.
Who was that guy that took over right away for Andrew Luck? He had like
Sam
long
Ehlinger.
Hair.
Oh God.
What was his fucking name?
I think Brissett came in for Luck immediately, right?
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of the guy who took over for Peyton Manning. Never mind.
We're only at 5.
Curtis Painter.
Yeah, Curtis Painter. I went back Curtis too far. Yeah.
He's as bad as any quarterback I ever watched. He's up there with Curtis Painter's up there with.
By the way, best player his hometown's ever seen. By far.
Yeah. If you actually went to high school or know of anyone who like was around and saw any of these quarterbacks like Deshaun Kaiser, Curtis Painter.
Curtis Painter was a fucking god in high school.
Nathan Peterman, any of these awful quarterbacks, and you saw them play in high school, and you're like, oh my God, this is the best I've ever seen.
Someone who went to high school with Nathan Peterman.
Yeah.
What was Nathan Peterman's like recruiting? Oh, I'm curious about that now.
I got to plug in my charger. One moment.
All right.
Oh, you do that. We're going to need Nathan.
He was a
4-star recruit to Tennessee.
Nathan Peterman was a 3-star, so not that great. He was out of Jacksonville.
Dude, he was a 4-star recruit. What are you talking about?
Well, it says 3-star here for 24/7 Sports, but whatever.
They probably updated it when he threw the 6 picks.
Yeah, they're like, we got to downgrade that quietly. They're like, okay, put him down 3-star. They didn't think he was that good.
Craig, you all right there?
Dude,
Craig looks like he died from this. How's your back doing? Seems terrible.
No, it is getting better day by day.
Your posture is considerably better today.
My mobility is improving every day, but the pain is still similar, which is weird.
I don't actually know what that means.
Like I can move more and more each day, but once I hit to the point of no longer being able to move, that pain I feel is just as bad.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Would you say that it's the surrounding muscles have locked up and you can't move? You have like no mobility.
Are you diagnosing me?
Every time you like try and move it an inch, it like hurts like fuck, or is it just like your actual spine hurts? Yeah, I am diagnosing. I'm trying to diagnose you without knowing anything about anything.
My spine physically does not hurt to the touch, if that's what you're asking.
It's more like the surrounding muscles are just locked up.
Yeah, yeah, I suppose.
Okay, just checking.
So back injury. While we're here, we got an email from someone with a back injury, and this was Andrew.
Drewski.
Drew says, someone parked too close to my car, so I had to pick up my 3-year-old sideways and kind of muscle him into his car seat using just my arms. The next morning, I wake up feeling a little stiff. My wife and I get our 3 and 2-year-old ready for daycare. I head to the garage. My 3-year-old demands that he be the one to hit the garage door opener on the wall. So I pick him up. He hits it, and I immediately just feel like a hot knife stabbed into my lower back. It starts spasming. And I'm the kind of person who swears through pain, but now I'm with my 2 and 3-year-old, so I can't. So I put them down, lay down, and they're screaming, "Get up, Dada," like it's like Simba over Mufasa. And they're screaming. They think they killed him.
Yeah.
So, and then he just takes his wife, and she's like trying to help him. He's like, leave me. And she gets in the car, drives the kids.
Save yourself.
And he sits there, and the neighbor comes over like he's okay. And he's like, oh, and he just he crawls into the house. It took him like 20 minutes to get in the house.
Yeah.
There's no dignity in aging, guys. There's no dignity in aging.
Also, the back injury is the most embarrassing. I mean, you are truly immobilized on the floor, flopping around like a turtle on your back.
I also think it's funny we know so little about our back. Maybe other people do, but I feel like I know so little about what's going on back there, so to speak.
I know. I thank God Liz was there. I was literally on my back like a beached whale calling for her. My phone was not within reach. If I was alone, I would have been there.
You got to get that life alert necklace, Craig. I've fallen and I can't get up.
DK, should we get that for him for his birthday?
That's actually a really good idea.
Him life. You guys should have got me that life alert.
Gardner Minshew, Colts quarterback?
Sounds
Did they just sign him?
No. I'm saying, is he the 6th starter that we haven't named?
Yeah, he is.
Minshew. We only need one more now. We have 6 out of 7.
Wait, now I already forgot who we named. We named Matt Ryan,
Wentz,
Phillip Rivers,
Wentz, Ryan Rivers, Brissett, Minshew.
That's
Richardson.
5. Richardson 6.
We need 7.
Sam Ellinger.
I don't think it's week 1.
Nick Foles. I'm actually just reading the list
here.
here.
Nick Foles feels right.
Brian Hoyer started a game.
Oh, it's week 1 though?
Oh, no, I don't know about week 1.
It's week 1 starters. They've had a different one.
So after Andrew Luck, it was Jacoby Brissett, Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Gardner Minshew.
Oh, the last one's Andrew Luck.
Oh, okay.
Andrew Luck's 2018. I think we got him.
But you also can throw in
screaming.
Sam Ellinger started 3 games. Nick Foles started 2 games. Brian Hoyer started 1 game.
Anyway, Colts. We'll talk a lot about the Colts this offseason. I kind of think at the end of the day, just buy the dip on Richardson. I don't know. I know I was joking before, but if he really flames out, the Eagles are going to take a flyer on him. Just make it work.
Speaking of Wentz, I just saw some news that came across my blue sky here. Carson Wentz, Browns have mutual interest as a bridge QB if team doesn't sign Russell Wilson.
God,
it's getting
That's
dark.
So full circle.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's pretty tough.
Do you remember Carson Wentz's left-handed interception? God, that was the best. It was the best.
Mutual interest is a bummer. That's like you guys are making eyes at each other across the bar.
We got more news on that than we got on the Rodgers stuff. But that's really full circle because the Browns traded down with the Eagles for the Carson Wentz pick in 2016. That was the team with the number 2 pick. Titans had the number 1 pick and they traded with the Rams for Goff, and then the Browns had the number 2 pick and they traded with the Eagles for Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like I feel like that's like one of the things Carson Wentz, like, you're like, you write down your little motivation thing. You're like, oh, they're going to make the Browns pay. And then it's like a decade later and both of you have just gone through ego death, and it's kind of sad.
The Carson Wentz thing is funny, and I don't know him personally, so this is just based on things you hear, but like one of the biggest problems in his career is just like no one likes him.
Yeah. Super. Yeah. Do you think that's
one of the
why
most important qualities in the workplace in any profession, really?
I mean, honestly.
Do you think that's why he wants to go to the Browns? Is because it's the only quarterback room where he's like more likable than
this guy's the best.
It's like Tom Cruise to short people. It's like put Carson Wentz to Deshaun Watson. Everyone's like, I love this guy.
That's actually, there's something there. I think
you know who else was kind of like not loved until on the Browns was Joe Flacco. I wouldn't say Joe Flacco was like remarkably loved in like Denver.
I feel like he changed his personality changed as he got older. Maybe he got like a sleep apnea mask and he started getting like real sleep or something. Because I felt like his personality went from like, I'm a surly asshole all the time to like kind of the fun uncle or
his
whatever.
Kids are in high school now. It's easier, you know?
The other teams I probably shouldn't have them tell me if I'm crazy for this. So the other teams have bad vibes. I have San Francisco because they lost like 9 players. And I just think maybe that's aggressive.
The vibes are low with them.
I think the Niners fans are pretty like a little crushed about all this.
They are.
Yes.
I mean, God, what was the record this year?
They won 5 games.
That's crazy. So the other one that I think is bad vibes is Kansas City. Mm-hmm. And I know that's a little insane, but like you come off the high of you think you're preparing yourself mentally for sports immortality.
We can't be killed. No one can kill us.
Yeah, the only 3P.
I don't think I can die.
You don't think you can die, and then you died. And then you look at what they did.
The roof? Did you fall? I love that from the Nice Guys is like maybe the funniest scene. I quote it constantly. He goes, I told you to go to the roof. He goes, I did. And he looks at him like, did you fall?
I don't think I can die.
He was like scolding him. Did you fall?
If you look at what the Chiefs did, they just brought back, they're like the Steelers, like bringing back Kareem Hunt at running back is like, wow, like that's the best you got. I'm sure they're going to draft a running back,
wild.
But they have to. Like, again, Mike Caliendo coming back to be a guard, like getting rid of Joe Thuney. So like they didn't want to pay Joe Thuney money. I'm like, all right. So like they paid Trey Smith, they franchise tagged him. So you're going to pay Trey Smith a lot of money to come back at right guard. And then you already gave Creed Humphrey a contract at center. And so then you got to figure out left guard. You got to figure out like I guess Kingsley Suamataia, who they drafted at the end of the second round last year. I guess the goal is for him to be a left guard, but really it's because he failed at left tackle last year as a rookie. So they're going to make him left guard, but you still have this gaping hole at left tackle for Kansas City. And it's not like Jawan Taylor isn't like, I mean, he's like weirdly a controversial right tackle. I don't know if there's ever been a controversial right tackle in my entire life, but like, I don't know. So they brought back Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm like, okay, so you have the slowest receiving core again. And Kelsey, I guess Kelsey's coming back. So you have the slowest pass catchers again. You still have the slowest running back.
They still have Xavier Worthy. He's fast.
Yes. All right. Fine. Actually, fine. I guess that's totally wrong because they also brought Hollywood Brown. So they average speed because they have the 2 fastest players in the NFL with Worthy and Hollywood Brown. And then everyone else is the slowest players in the NFL. Right. So they're perfectly average with speed.
They basically are just running it back. The offensive line, I would say, is either the same or maybe a little bit worse. And they brought back Juju Smith-Schuster, Kareem Hunt, Marquise Brown, and they're going to have Rashee Rice coming off a knee injury, potentially a suspension, and then Xavier Worthy, and then a year older Travis Kelce.
Genuinely, if you're a Chiefs fan, you literally are telling yourself, well, if Xavier Worthy and Marquise Brown just know where the sidelines are when they catch a football, then we could be unstoppable. And I'm half kidding, but like I do think Marquise Brown getting almost no practice reps with Mahomes because he was hurt so early.
Yeah, that affected it.
It's just weirdly a complacent offseason for a team that got embarrassed in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And you have Rashee Rice coming back, but that was a bad injury.
You know?
They were in the Super Bowl. Yeah, but Chiefs fans know that it's shoestring and bubble gum and like, you know, they did what you're supposed to do. You went all in. So we'll see. But again, maybe Chiefs fans are freaking out right now.
Did they win 14 games?
15.
15.
Should I put them up with
what
the
was
Lions?
It? 16 in a row by 1 score?
Should I put the Chiefs up? Here's the thing.
No,
I don't know if the
think
Chiefs should be 27th.
I just think it's funny
5th.
that it's like this is where we are with the Chiefs. Is like things are pretty grim, even though they won 15 games and went to the Super Bowl.
But I'm including the ass kicking. It's the same way as only the Super Bowl gets the count. The same way the Eagles count and they get to be first because they kicked the shit out of the Chiefs. The Chiefs got their teeth kicked in the Super Bowl. Like that has to sting.
I mean, the vibes last year, a year ago today, were like a 99 out of 100. What would you say they are today? 30? I mean,
that's the thing. I don't know. I genuinely don't know emotionally what that feels like. What does it feel like to make 3 Super Bowls in a row, win 2, and then like think you're gonna be the best team ever, and then like
it's a huge bummer to not sort of solidify your legacy as the only team ever to three-peat. Like that loss of potential legacy as the all-time team.
That's
heavy. That's heavy.
I know that it's weird that I have them this low, but I also put them next to like the Lions at first, and I was like, this doesn't feel possible.
No, this is on a scale. Like obviously the Chiefs are still one of the best teams in the league, but on like, you know, you're grading this on like the scale of expectation versus reality. And in terms of what you wanted them to do this offseason, what happened to them in the Super Bowl, the vibes are pretty bad compared to all the other good teams in the league.
that's the thing. We always say, I always say, losing a Super Bowl destroys teams. And I think that when you, like, it's also such a grind. Put a dollar in the jar, Warriors jar. Any 3-peat team, but the Warriors are the most recent, I think, to make 3 straight of just, it's exhausting. Like, you're also playing the most games of any team. Like, it's physically exhausting.
Totally, yeah.
They, all you need to know is they're so bad. They've got their teeth kicked in so bad, Travis Kelce has to come play again because he can't go out like that. That's all you need to know.
5 straight. They made 5 straight. The Warriors.
I was going to say, I don't think Craig has to put a thing in the jar because Heifetz
because I brought it up.
Craig, now you do.
Last category here.
That's not fair.
Last category here, I have the opposite of torque, which is shrinkage. The Seinfeld, I was in the pool. And if you're rooting for one of these teams, I was in the pool.
That's like one of those all-time scenes that I can just picture. You know what I mean?
Epic.
And I can picture Elaine going, shrinkage, it shrinks? Like a frightened turtle.
They did an whole episode on shrinkage.
Bottom tier is Browns, Cowboys, Saints, Jets, Giants. I think if you root for any of these teams, Browns, Cowboys, Saints, Jets, Giants, you are like, you're not having fun following the NFL anymore. Like the Giants, the Jets.
I don't even want to be around anymore.
No, it's like if you're the Cowboys fan, you're really feeling that Jerry Jones is older than Joe Biden now. And you're realizing that actually I've been following this carnival barker for 30 years that actually doesn't actually care about winning. The Saints are a Ponzi scheme. The best thing the Jets have going for them is they cut Aaron Rodgers. You could argue they're higher just because they have a new coach. The Giants brought back their brain trust, and like, I mean, the Browns are the Browns. So, I mean, if anything, you should tell me maybe the Jets should be higher than this.
No, I don't think the Jets are in the same category as like the Steelers or Seahawks.
I still think it's funny that the 2 New York teams have like atrocious vibes all the time.
Horrific.
It feels like because like New York is, you know, the cultural center, I guess, of the U.S. and arguably of the world, and their 2 teams just fucking suck. I don't know why. I just think it's really funny.
That is funny, DK.
Thanks, Greg. This is the thing. This is the way I think about stuff. It's just like if London was the worst team for soccer every year or whatever, you know, the English invented soccer, whatever. Maybe that was a bridge too far.
I didn't know that
all
there's
the
like
teams are in England, right?
They're all in London.
Yeah.
Aren't like 11 of the 20 or the 11 of the Premier League teams in London? There's so many teams in London.
What if all 11 of them were fucking terrible?
That's
the only teams that are good are outside London.
Every fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these teams suck. I feel like we talk about them. I don't even know what we want to say. And the Browns, again, the Browns are trading for Kenny Pickett, and they're giving up draft picks to do it. The Cowboys.
And they're interested in Wentz.
Which kind of tells you everything you need to know.
Mutual interest. Yeah, I bet.
Mutual interest.
Carson Wentz has mutual interest in anybody.
Cowboys are just bringing back the same team.
I have interest in having a job and getting a check.
How far in advance do you think the Cowboys are checking out where the sun is for the season, since they know almost a year in advance?
I bet you Jerry's outside right now, squinting up at the sun.
Just got like what's the thing you do to read the stars when you're a sailor? It's like a weird word.
Astronomy?
Tool for reading the stars.
I think there's an app for that now.
Do you have any idea what he's talking about, Craig?
No. But my brother-in-law has an app that we use all the time to look at where stars
are. Oh, you look at the constellations, the Google one? That's pretty great.
See where the planets are. It's cool.
That's sick. If anyone knows about stars, you can email us about stars. That's cool.
I don't want to know. Space scares me, freaks me out.
Oh, why does space scare you?
Because it's what do you mean? Why? I feel like space is one of the most understandably scary things. It's fucking endless. What are you talking about?
It's like the ocean. You're not going there. It's like you're not going to space. It's like you could I wouldn't want to go to space.
I'm much less scared of the ocean than space, which is if you throw a baseball in space, where does it end? It goes on forever. How is that a thing?
But you're afraid of that? Like you're a lot more likely to die in the ocean.
I am existentially fearful of space because it makes me question my mortality and the point of human existence in the world.
Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Water's like, oh yeah, it's scary. There's like sea creatures down there and it's really dark. But space is infinite and that's freaky.
Have you ever seen the scale of the universe? Someone made an interactive like scale of the universe thing of just like you can go up and down like from like the size of the entire known universe and the unknown universe that's theorized, and you can go all the way down to string theory, and like they have like comparisons of how small everything is. Like
whenever you see those videos and it like keeps just zooming out and it shows you how small Earth is and our galaxy, it's terrifying.
Craig, I just looked this up. I don't know for sure this is real, but the nearest galaxy to us is 2.5 million light years away.
Yeah, dude, you cannot think about space. I think the whole point of life is to distract yourself from space. I think that's the point.
Have you, all right. Did Adams, you ever heard that, dude, shout out Tim Urban, who has this book called Wait, But Why. And he has like a blog called Wait, But Why. And he explained like the scale of an atom to scale, like in the way you can comprehend it, of how big a proton is to the size of an atom. And it was like, if a proton was the size of a pea, and like the electron would be 2 Empire State Buildings up above the pea. Like that's the field of an atom. And he was explaining that the next atom would be like an Empire State Building away. And then he was like, if like what a black hole is if you fill that entire space with peas.
Yeah. I mean, you cannot read any of that stuff and not have a panic attack. Should
we cut this or the sex part of the beginning?
Well, Craig, I saw some video, I think, where it was talking about like if we somehow figured out how to go the speed of light, which is we're not even fucking remotely close to that. Mm-hmm. If we somehow figure that out, we would have to like build a spaceship where you could house hundreds and hundreds of generations just to get to the nearest galaxy. You know what I mean? It's just fucking wild to think
Galaxies
about.
Galaxies are the limit, what I understand.
The size of
That's
everything
crazy, DK. You'd have to have hundreds of generations just
I don't know, because it's like 2.5 million light years away. There? Yeah.
I think we have to just get to the point we can put people in like stasis or cryo.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you get into the whole thing, which is in a lot of movies, where if you're leaving Earth, you're never going to see these fucking people again because you're going to be in stasis for hundreds of years or whatever. It's just wild.
I saw this thing where someone asked ChatGPT.
Anyway, the ocean's pretty deep.
Ocean's deep.
I think the ocean's pretty terrifying too.
The ocean's scary, but in terms of infinite nothingness, to me,
I'd rather go on a boat on the ocean than try and go into space, particularly on SpaceX right now with their success rate.
Space is big.
Yep.
Anyway,
it's large.
Because wait, a light year is the distance it takes light to travel. It's the distance light travels in a year, right?
Yeah.
Yes. How many light years till the Cleveland Browns win a Super Bowl?
I mean, that's infinite. You can't even imagine it.
Which of these teams?
Like trying to imagine the end of the universe.
Which of these teams should be fired into space?
Yeah, I think the Browns, right? It's almost
the Jets. Come on,
you think the Jets?
Yeah,
they already have a jet. It's easy. Yeah.
There we go. Until Brick takes over, I don't think they're going to have any success.
Brick's going to turn the team around.
I actually do think I'm going to lean into this. Brick is going to turn the Jets around.
That's good. We need new blood.
Good zag out of you.
Okay, so that's what we got with the vibes. If you're mad about anything and we got anything wrong, email us at ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. I'm happy to just like annul any of the vibes we got wrong. But that's my best thing with the vibes. And we're excited as we like crank into draft season here with free agency winding down. And again, just a reminder, we're going NFL draft through the draft, and we have the live show. If you want to go to Chicago, get tickets there. I want some emails. I want to talk about the March Madness thing. You join our March Madness bracket. I want one last draft thing before we get to emails. Ted McMillan, the receiver out of Arizona, I just couldn't get over this. I'm going to read this paragraph from Sports Illustrated verbatim. Ryan Fowler of the Draft Network wrote that the wide receivers, Ted McMillan's 40 time varied among the 40 scouts present at the Pro Day, but they all had Ted McMillan in the range of between a 4.46 to a 4.53. And then Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer, meanwhile, spoke to 3 teams who had Ted McMillan at a 4.54, a 4.55, and a 4.57. So he's between a 4.46 and a 4.57.
Yep.
Which is passing. It's a passing grade. Who gives a fuck?
We have lasers.
Of course, the headline is like, Ted McMillan runs a 4.440. You click in, and then it's like, well, he also could have maybe run a 4.57. Like, okay.
All right. I think the bottom line is, though, this is better. This is fine. Like, this isn't necessarily super great where you're all very excited about it, but this is a fine time for a player of his size.
Do you believe the criticism that Ted McMillan's not going to be able to separate in the NFL?
Do I believe that? Do I believe in the criticism?
Yeah, it's kind of like you look at Mike Evans, Mike Evans is faster.
I don't think he's an elite separator, but I think he's nuanced as a route runner. He's really tough at the catch point. He's got great hands. He can make circus catches. I think he has all the other skills you need to be a good receiver. And by the way, like some of the best receivers in the NFL are running 4.5s. Like this should not be something we actually talk about that much because I think it just means he passed.
Yeah,
watch the game. He's good.
Yeah. The other pro day thing that I think was interesting was Jalen Milroe ran a 4.37 according to Bruce Feldman at Bama's pro day. A quarterback running 4.37. Like the last time we got this, it was essentially Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson's a different prospect because he's much bigger, and I think he was much more nuanced in the pocket. But I mean, he went 4th overall, 5th overall. And I'm just like,
wait, like that, are you making the case for Jalen Milroe or
yes,
against?
I'm making the case. Well, yeah, you could argue either way, I suppose. But I'm just saying, like, in terms of the guys I would want to bet on day 2 at the quarterback position, like Jalen Milroe definitely intrigues me. I'll be honest. I think because at the very least, he can be a big part of your run game. Like watching him run away from like SEC defenders is impressive. He is an incredible athlete. So if you can coach him up, I think there's a world where he develops as a quarterback in the NFL. He has a long way to go as like a passer, but I mean that athleticism is insane.
Did you see that Tomlin had dinner with him in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah. Oh. There's a world where everyone over-indexes on the Anthony Richardson thing because they're basically like one season happens and like, wow, look at all these guys who had all this college experience, Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels and all these guys played so well who had played a lot of games. Meanwhile, Anthony Richardson, who had no experience, was terrible. We got to go back away from that. And if you can buy the dip on that, where you can get a guy with tools that would be a top 5, top 10 pick in another year. And if Jalen Milroe goes to the second round because of the fear of him being like Anthony Richardson, I think that's just a smart thing to buy the dip on. I know that, it's not like Jalen Hurts being a second rounder where Jalen Hurts made like
watch him go to the
4
Eagles.
Different college football playoffs. But yeah, Milroe's a good example of if you could do what Will Levis should have been, which is second round, stick him on the bench and not playing him immediately. Milroe could sit for a couple of years. Like I'd be pretty intrigued.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have to say about that.
I kind of don't think he can throw the football, which is a problem. But
well, I mean, you have Mason Rudolph. Can he throw the football?
Who?
Your current quarterback's Mason Rudolph. Do you think he can throw a football?
He can't throw the football, but like I don't know. We get all wrapped up in it. Look how athletic he is. He's so fast. It's like, dude, this guy was not good on Alabama. Couldn't throw the football in Alabama.
Not saying he's a first round pick. I'm saying that desperate times call for desperate measures.
If you get him in the 3rd round and he's like a backup, you try to develop, that's fine. But if you're betting on Jalen Milroe, I mean, how often do these SEC quarterbacks work in general, even if they're pocket passers, let alone a guy who's like just straight up not good at throwing the football and really fast?
No, I think that's a fair, like, it's a rational take. Yeah.
Giants have the 65th pick, the first pick in the 3rd round.
That to me makes sense. But if you go get Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson, or even maybe you wouldn't do Shedeur and Jalen, but like, I think you should bring him in as somebody you can develop over time and not depend on him.
Washington did RG3 and Kirk Cousins. You never know. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do emails on March Madness first. Again, March Madness, we have our little bracket pool. So,
I'd love to not talk about what happened last night, but
that was brutal. That was brutal.
Craig, how early did you know it was over? What was your moment?
Well, Craig thinks San Diego State got smacked in the play-in game by UNC Chapel Hill, and that was
I think SDSU.
Why do you say UNC Chapel Hill?
I don't know either.
North Carolina is like one of the blue blood. Like,
I don't know why I say that. I think it's because I got in my head when I went to. I think it's because when you're in the Carolinas and you say USC, I think of USC as Southern California.
Right.
And
they think
South Carolina people get so offended. So I've started doing that with North Carolina, but that's not a thing.
UNC Chapel Hill.
Yeah, I don't
know.
Specifically
the one in Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
Look,
this felt like payback.
Campus.
This felt like payback for SDSU making the finals 2 years ago, which is fine. If somebody was like, hey, look, here's a scenario. SDSU has an incredible run, makes the finals in 2023, and then 2 years later, they're going to lose by 30 in a play-in game. I would take it any day of the week still. But, man, it sucks watching your team get fucking dominated. It's just the worst feeling in the world. And they walked into a buzzsaw. UNC had the best bulletin board motivational material perhaps ever in the history of college basketball. And they were a top 10 preseason team with a lot of talent who underperformed this year. And they literally showed up and were like, everybody in America hates us right now. And SDSU was just kind of in the way. And SDSU, I think, is the second youngest team in the tournament this year. So it was just kind of a perfect storm disaster, and it sucked.
The way you trailed off there was great. It was a perfect disaster, and it sucked.
Yeah, brutal.
I did look at my phone about, I don't know, what was it, like 8:30 last night, and I saw the score. I was like, oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Second half, they're down by 30.
Yep.
That's rough.
Yep. I think they were down by 40 at one point. Even like, it was at the point now where I was like, just get it below 30 and it'll look okay in the box score. 27 is doable.
All right. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Go to the Chicago show. Buy tickets for the Chicago show, April 22nd, Tuesday, Lincoln Hall. It's in the episode description, as is the March Madness bracket. If you listen before
join
Thursday
our bracket.
at noon.
Get a free T-shirt if you win. It could change your whole life, that T-shirt. You'll be the coolest kid in town.
As long as you're joining before the game started Thursday at noon Eastern or 9 a.m. Pacific, or whatever time zone you're in, you can join that. Thank you, Lord.
Lauren.
Thank you, Dochi.
Oh,
hell wow, look at you.
Yeah, DK.
Yeah, look at you. Don't you say?
Yeah.
Wow. Swamp Queen. Swamp Princess.
Totally.
Damn.
Totally.
DK, you're really tapping into your youth.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know a ton about the artist.
Do you know, tell me anything about Doechii.
She was a big performer at the Grammys, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I was waiting for you to say she because you said the artist because I thought you didn't know if she was a man or they were a man or a woman.
Well, you know, you don't guess at these things, but yes, I don't know anything about her, but I knew that you guys were super psyched on her performance at the Grammys. Did she won a couple Grammys, right?
She won
best new artist, best rap album. What did she win?
best. It was best rap album, and the speech is awesome and worth watching on YouTube. And I got really emotional. She was like, only 2 female rappers have won this. And she was like, Lauryn Hill, Cardi B. 3 female rappers have won this. And she like realized in the moment, you could see her realizing she won. And it was actually like really sweet. And brought her mom up and it was actually really sweet.
That's cool. Yeah.
I think you would like her album, DK. It feels very like 90s.
Oh, okay.
It's great.
Check it out.
It's very, but also she just talks about things in a way that you were born in it. Like she does things that that are very like meta. Like she has some bridge that's just like, Doechii, you forgot to take the chicken out. But then she also talks about like being on her phone for like an entire fucking verse. She talks about scrolling in a way that's like you were born in this.
I agree. She's a very relatable lyricist.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Nice.
Shout out
what a win for DK right now. That was great.
That's big.
Usually it's like some
I'm hip. I'm with it.
Some local rock band in the Pacific Northwest I've never heard of, but
DK's doing Hollywood shit.
I know.
Totally.
Oh yeah, Kai just said, the Doechii and Issa Rae Denal's River is really, really good too. And the Tiny Desk. Yeah, love Doechii.
Not to be confused with Doja Cat.
Oh, right.
Different.
Yeah.
Different.
That's the goal. We need the Oreo thing.
I've heard that.
She just made a song about Pizza Hut or Taco Bell, and then just got a Taco Bell deal. We've been talking about Oreos for like a year at this point. We have nothing with the Oreos.
I don't think she made the song and then got the deal. I thought she got the deal and then made the song.
Oh, she just like talked about how much she loved Taco Bell, and then they paid her to make the song, which is like, where's our Oreo vampire song?
I mean, I think Poppy should pay me something. PepsiCo bought Poppy for $2 billion, and I think I deserve a cut of that.
You did a lot of that work.
Got the Horlbeck bump.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I've been
Get Poppy
giving
on the
that
phone.
free branding for 2 years now.
It's a dime.
Poppy on the phone. Okay, goodbye, everyone.